So we're back. I don't usually do an introduction for this thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm keeping it in the tradition the way we did it with mines and well, I don't know if we even did. Did we ever do introductions on Untethered?
That's a good question.
I don't remember.
I would have to go back and review them.
Well, we were so rowdy and outrageous on that show, man. Like we turned into rebels and stuff.
Yeah, but it's a slow start, isn't it?
Yeah.
You pick up pace
Well,
throughout
that one we turned into animals from the start.
You may have, but
well, we did. It's like now. What I wanted to do on this one is I wanted to go first over the stuff that's more important to talk about for this week because it's like it wouldn't be as important next week. You know what I mean?
with the Russia earthquake thing, no, but the UK then is going to be
well. That one,
the next.
That one I want to bring up just on every single episode if we can, kind of remind people until it's over. Well, this is how many weeks do we have before the petition's good?
Actually, I got a reply from the petition. Let me just check my email. I think there was and there's an official reply already, which would be the email would be the same reply as is provided on the actual page that I gave you.
Okay. So now the Russian earthquake, it was supposed to be massive. It was an 8.8 magnitude quake, and it struck near Kamchatka. Now they have. Now the last thing I heard, it was from Mr. Robot. He said he got it from a friend of his who was in Japan. I think he said, and they have a tsunami watch issue for there, and they also for Hawaii.
Nancy also opened up the Fixins stream this week with that subject, didn't she?
Mm-hmm. Now, it's supposed to be a magnitude 8.0 earthquake, and it, like I said, it struck near Kamchatka, Russia. And that prompted tsunami warnings for several regions, including Japan, Alaska, Hawaii, and Guam. Now, the quake occurred 133 kilometers southeast of Petropavlovsk, Kamchatka, and was felt across the Kamchatka Peninsula.
Oh, the entire Pacific, really, all the way. Did it get as? Yeah, it got as far as California, did it?
Supposedly, I mean, I haven't heard anything about a tsunami whatsoever yet.
Yeah, no, it was so light when it got to California that nobody really noticed. But
did it do any significant damage? Because the last time I heard it said from the impact, supposedly there was no injuries reported yet.
There was one fatality, but it was never. As last time I checked, it was never confirmed. So it could have been a fatality related to a heart attack or something. It might not have been directly related to in Japan.
Now, the magnitude, I've heard it was 8.0 and 8.7. And now, after that, the issue, or with the tsunami warning, I also found out the warnings had to do with northern Marina Islands, and they said that the depth was shallow for the if the tsunami came and it was supposed to be at 19 kilometers or 12 miles shallow.
Yeah, Nancy was talking about that. She had doubts if it was a natural phenomenon because of the depth.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical on that one. On point, but yeah. Again, I've not done that much research on that one. Just looked at reports.
No, Times Now News is where Mr. Robot had a link for it, and it's the one that said that it was an 8.8 magnitude earthquake. Um, the article said, here I can read it real quick. It said the powerful magnitude 8.8 earthquake struck 133 kilometers south of Petropavlovsk, Konopsky, Russia, according to the United States Genealogical Survey. The shallow quake was felt across the Kamchatka Peninsula and was strong enough to generate waves or trigger a tsunami. Tsunami alerts have been issued for Russia, Japan, Guam, Hawaii, and Alaska. Now, that right there is all that was in that thing. So it did show like a map of the area. And
Did
now,
I not reference a Lotus Eaters video? Was we were talking about it on Tuesday, stroke Wednesday. I
yeah.
think I did,
Well, the location where it's at, I mean, it's really weird because it's very, very close to Alaska, and it's like right in between where Alaska and Japan, you know what I mean, at a kind of like at a vertical, not a vertical, but where it's going, northeast,
well,
west,
it was one. It
southeast.
was directly related to a plate, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was what I think Nancy was talking about it too. The ring that goes around uh, the Pacific Ocean. It's like this is like a shell, an eggshell, dude. It's very sensitive because
Mm.
there's a freaking a fault line that runs all the way up from uh, that runs up from Hawaii to Japan around to the whole edge of Russia and the edge of Alaska down to the west coast of the United States. Well, actually, the whole Americas, to be honest.
Mm. Mm.
And she was talking about the freaking what is that? It's the has Old Faithful. What's that called? I keep forgetting the damn names.
The park.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna have to do freaking some googling.
yeah,
Yellowstone.
yeah.
Yellowstone.
Yogi Bear. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, that's what she was talking about. How it could trigger Yellowstone, and that that one has Old Faithful in it and everything. That's what she was talking about. But even like with that fault line, I mean that fault line going off at the same time as Old Faithful going off, you might as well give it up. And my brother was also talking too about um, Italy all the way over to Turkey. They had that whole line of volcanoes. That it's an entire system, you know. It-
Mm.
so like could you imagine if something that big went off literally and it caused those volcanoes to freaking just cause a chain reaction all the way across there? Because that's what they suspect actually happened at one time. All those volcanoes along the Alps and into Turkey at one time had a chain reaction and they went off, caused a lot of problems. But man, it would be the end of the world, dude. It'd be it'd be an apocalyptic future.
Maybe.
I don't know if something that big, well, yeah, it would, because Yellowstone, Old Faithful is huge.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like they're saying Old Faithful by itself, if it erupts, it's time for a lot of us humans to freaking kiss our asses goodbye.
Depending on how severe the eruption is.
Well, I, Old Faithful, the entire freaking volcano. Okay,
Okay.
it
Yeah.
expands across like the entire area. Like this is a huge volcano system.
Mm.
I can probably actually pull up some stuff to show, like uh, I could probably show images of it if I find it. Yeah, because this is huge. Um, what is it? The Yellowstone super volcano. There we go. Uh, this actually has some pretty good imagery right here. If I can, if I can actually show it on here. Um, yeah, let me see here. Now I'm gonna have to actually do a window capture for OBS too, so that they can see it.
Mm.
And then I'll do it here on Rumble Studio so that you can see it too. Here we go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that right there is what it looks like. Um, then you have this. All right. We're talking like entire regions. See that? This is the.
What's the diameter of Old Faithful?
Uh, well, I'm right here on the page. After I show you the pictures and stuff, I can go ahead and find out.
Oh, I'm doing it now. The geyser measures roughly 2 by 3.5 feet,
Mm-hmm.
0.6 to by 1 meter.
Now
that's just the surface. That's just the surface vent.
Yeah. Now they said there have been 3 major explosive eruptions in Yellowstone's history. Huckabee Ridge, and that was 2.1 million years ago. Mesa Falls, that was 1.3 million years ago. And Lake Creek, and that was 640,000 years ago. The largest eruption of the 3 was Huckleberry Ridge, and that was 6,000 times greater than Mount St. Helens eruption in 1980. And that was over 2.1 million years ago.
Mm.
That is craziness. So that's what they're talking about. That right there would end life as we know it, right there. Yeah.
Actually, just according to the U.S. National Park Service, it was predicted to erupt on July the 31st this year. So today. Yesterday. Yesterday.
Oh, that is crazy. Okay, guys, better start stocking up on your water. You heard it first here on Live with Roger Hanson from Mark Edworthy. Nobody else knows this, just
Actually,
us.
no. Old Faithful is according to the U.S. National Park Service, it is now predicted to erupt at 1:07 a.m. But it doesn't give what it means by 1:07 a.m. 1:07 a.m. what local time, presumably on August the 2nd.
August the 2nd. That's wow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, so that would be um, 7 hours from now.
Castle is yeah, I'm not sure about the times. I presume it's local times, but yeah,
Well,
Castle,
no,
Grand, Daisy, Riverside.
yeah. Hold up a minute. I can calculate that in. Right now it's 5:54 here in Illinois, which is Central Time. That would be three 3:54 in California or on the West Coast.
PDT, I'm sorry.
So so that would actually be that'd be 9 hours from now. That would be 9 hours from now, I believe.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that'd be 8 a.m. UTC. 8 UTC.
yeah, so it's time for everybody to give their asses to God. You better pray.
Yeah, if you're going to believe that.
Well, I mean, if you smoke reefer, you better smoke it all, buddy, because they're. I mean, that's it.
And it doesn't say how big a eruption. It could be just a very minor eruption.
Just a minor eruption.
It could be, it doesn't state.
No, I'm gonna find out what the ridge uh, fault line around the Pacific is called. Yeah, there we go. They even have spell check for me on there, isn't it? Okay, that is the Ring of Fire. Okay, so I'm gonna do the Ring of Fire, and I'm gonna try to pull up something for the Ring of Fire.
What is its actual name? That's more of a nickname, isn't it? An alias.
I don't really know uh, if they actually named it an appropriate name. To be honest with you,
Uh,
that's really shows locations of volcanoes. So we'll get
don't
that.
these things have a Latin name?
Um,
Not scientific things.
well, that was weird. I do not know what happened there, but it ended. Wait a minute. Okay, let me. Oh, okay. It doesn't allow you. It doesn't have like a website. It has. Oh, okay. I have to hit visit. No, it doesn't. That is weird. So let me see here. Here we go. We'll go here. I'd like to. I would like to go to an actual site that I can pop the. You know what I mean? Be able to pop up the actual map and everything. And it was weird how this one worked. Okay, here is the Ring of Fire, and I can. Are you guys?
Also,
You're not.
yeah, I was going to say have a look at Forbes or routers or something.
Yeah, I'll share that. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, there is the Ring of Fire for Rumble Studios. Oh, cool! It automatically popped it up on OBS, so I'm
Mm.
good. I'm good to go on there. But yeah, that is the Pacific Ocean's infamous Ring of Fire, and it is 24,900 miles. That's 40,000 kilometers long, and is where most of the world's earthquakes and volcanic events occur. So, right here, you have these that come off here to the side. Now, this up here is the freaking volcanoes, or the volcanoes and stuff I was talking about. This is a whole string of them. They go to the all the way over to freaking Italy. It's just a whole ring of them, and there's just this little area right here that doesn't connect it. Can you see my mouse?
No, so my screen. Hang on, I'll have to
Okay.
move my screen because I'm looking at it from my.
When I run my mouse right here, can you see it?
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. Just wanted to double check. But that little bitty area right there is what separates this volcano system from this freaking quake line.
So we're talking about India. We're talking about Australia. We're talking about.
Mm-hmm. It would cause a massive freaking world event.
Oh.
So they're talking about that it started up here in this area right where my mouse is. Okay, that earthquake did. You know, and you
Is
have
that China or Russia?
that's Russia.
Yeah, southwest or southeast China, Russia.
Yep, that's the peninsula that sticks out right at the edge of Russia. And Japan is right here. Then Hawaii is right here, and over here is where Yellowstone would be, right up in this area.
Yeah.
And this fault line, like I said, it runs this way, and it just keeps on going all the way to South America. Bam, right there.
Technically, where you were pointing, wasn't that just off the border between the US and Canada?
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Maybe not.
up here. This is the U.S. and Canada. Yeah. So it's Yellowstone would actually be more like right around in this area.
So yeah, we're talking about South Washington State,
Yeah.
North California.
Yep. That's amazing as heck. You know. It's I think if it does happen, it will literally just wipe everything out. To be honest with you, there's no way we could recover from that. At least I don't think so.
Again, if it happens, let's not scaremonger.
Well, I mean, 8 hours from now we'll know, won't we? Won't we, Mr. Edworthy?
Or we might not know.
Now, see, it when you look at it like this, okay, then my whole thing about Rise of the Automaton doesn't sound so bad. You know what I mean? Like Rise of the Terminator. I would rather fight off artificial intelligence than a volcano any day, dude. You know. What do you think? If you had a choice, would you fight off robots that were out to destroy all of humankind, or would you go up against the volcano? They've got a movie about that too, by the way.
What? volcanoes versus robots.
No, what was it? Charlie versus the volcano, I think is what they called it.
Rings a bell. Don't think I've seen it, but it does, the title does ring a bell.
Well, my movie was about a guy, a guy versus a volcano. There we go. See, it's cool. They automatically know what I'm talking about. Joe versus the volcano in 1990. This film is literally titled after the concept of guy versus volcano. In this romantic comedy, Tom Hanks plays a man who accepts an offer to throw himself into a volcano as a human sacrifice. What do you think about that?
Oh, wasn't it a comedy?
Yes, it was. Joe,
What's the actor? Famous, well-known American actor.
Tom Hanks.
Was it?
It was
thinking.
It was before he did the volleyball one.
Okay. I was thinking of the comedian.
Well, you know, Tom Hanks actually used to be a comedian, right?
Yeah. No, I was thinking of I can see his face, but the name totally escapes me.
Will Ferrell.
Yes,
Everybody does that. Like when they have to remember old 90s and 80s movies, they think.
No, the comedian that acted as who did those Christmas things, acting as an elf.
Oh, what was his name? Oh, I know him too. That's Will Ferrell, dude.
Will Ferrell?
Yeah. Freaking he did Talladega Nights.
Not Will Ferrell. No.
He played an elf too.
Yeah, no, it's not the person I'm thinking of. No, it's totally gone from me.
Now you're leaving me stuck with a guy who played an elf, dude. Seriously. Now I'm gonna have to go through and look at all the actors who played an elf. That's just horrible. That is just horrible. Okay, so there is excuse me, man, I gotta stop smoking. Well, I think it's more of this cold, but yeah, just so everybody on here knows, I am getting over a cold. So if you hear me coughing, don't be trolling me talking about how horrible I am, because that's what it's about. I'm having a hard time. Okay, so I do have a snippet here of something. This was taken from Redacted, which I'm not really into, but it was something that Mr. Robot posted, and it's called "The UK is effed," or the F word. I'll hold back on the F word because Mr. Edworthy wants me to keep this family friendly and oriented in that fashion. But what I can do is I can go ahead and I can do a I don't know if they do they do a picture in a picture mode. I can actually do a screen share for the picture, I believe. Let me see if I can get it. Nope, nope. I just don't get why. There it is. Here we go. But there is going to be no audio if I do it that way. That's the only bad part.
Yeah, you may have a copyright strike on this if you do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just there's absolutely no audio on that one. But if I do just go ahead and I play it, I can get it to where it can be heard through my OBS, maybe. So
I would be very, very cautious and only play a very small segment if you're going to do that.
it's only like 6 minutes. So I mean, I I really don't have to share with anybody on Rumble Studios, to be honest.
Or you can just talk about the points
Yep,
they
just
make.
talk about it, and then if they want to hear the audio and everything completely, they can go to the the stream, the regular stream on Rumble, and it will be there. So with audio and everything, if you guys want to hear it, sound fair?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
acceptable.
Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hit play on it, and we'll be able to check it out. So here we go. Let me unmute it.
Let's see, how's that?
Okay, we're gonna pause it there because I think that is a good conversation to start out with. Especially you being bar hop the way you are. You just like always going to the pub and getting drunk with your buddies.
Hardly always. It's very rare.
You old freaking booze slut, you.
Very rare, actually.
we were actually just having a conversation about this the other night, weren't we? Where you were talking about going to the pub, and
Yeah, but
we were
I
talking about
think
farmers.
in the last, well, since Christmas, I've been to a pub 3 times.
Right. Well,
Four
remember
times, actually. 4 times.
remember when we were talking about farmers?
Yeah.
Okay. Now everybody has this crazy idea about farmers being all like down to earth and working with their hands and being grounded and all this good stuff. And then you said, well, apparently people who think that have never gone to the pub and hung out with them. You know what I mean? At least it was to that extent somehow. You know what I mean? And I agreed with you because I've been around people who live out in the country and out in the or in small towns. I'm living in a small town. My hometown is that way too. Um, and like back in my drinking days, I never. Hold up. Yeah, but like whenever I was drinking, I never really spent too much time in bars because I'd always get in trouble. You know what I mean? I was
Fair
never
enough.
I was never a good drinker, but it is true. I mean, you can't shut people down in a bar, dude. It's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? That's going to cause way a lot of trouble, and that's what that's really a good place to start out with. She came out strong on that. I really think. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think about that? Especially in England, do you have loudmouth English people that go to pubs and talk shit?
Obviously, like any place. Um, Once you introduce alcohol into a mix, you're going to have um, very open speech.
Now, do you think that it's appropriate that the state should be holding the bar responsible for people talking like about things that the government doesn't think is appropriate?
Or that it's not that the government thinks is appropriate. It's what could what could cause perceived offence to an employee, or perceived offence to anybody that they may be aware of or know.
Okay.
So the person doesn't even have to be there, or the it doesn't actually have to be within that area.
Wow. So,
Does that make sense?
yeah, if they're like small talking and talking trash on somebody, they could get in trouble for it, even though that person's not at the bar. They're
If it's related to a personal characteristic as defined by the 2010 Equalities Act.
oh,
So the race, religion, gender.
so that means that they're really having to crack down on you guys for your insurrection, huh? They're putting it to you guys pretty hard over there in England, huh? You
But
don't
it's
want
still a bill at the moment. It's not. I don't believe there's income. Well, it's not an act yet because Parliament has to be recalled, or would have to be called for, because they're in recess and they're going on holiday, summer holiday.
to get
So
that
it
good
has yet to
government.
be um, authorised.
Got that good government going on, it's taking care of you guys, making sure that your safety is being managed well. Yeah.
Please, please.
You knew
Did
it,
you
you
did
knew
you
it.
see that video, or that video that based that post on only a couple of hours ago?
I've got a couple of them, man. Let me finish this off
So,
real quick,
yeah,
and then then we'll move on to. I believe I'm pretty sure I've got that one too. Just give me a second, dude.
I only published that post only a couple of hours ago. Um, the um, what was it? I can't remember now. The Thinking Ape post or something, or Thinking Ape video. I'm not getting any of the voice, but it doesn't matter. I've already seen this one anyway, so I'm sort of aware of what she's saying.
Yeah, yeah. Like she was basically saying the same thing that you were talking about, like about being offended. And I do have a copy of that video actually that you're referring to. Is the one about I was offended? Huh?
Uh, Sorry, the one that I'm talking about is the Thinking Ape video. The internet, as we know it, could be changing.
Oh, that's the one that you had for
Yeah, the
the
one that I updated, based a post on just a couple hours ago.
yeah. The
That's
thought provoking, is that the one where you said that you had a thought provoking
yeah,
examination of the
yeah,
internet?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I've got that. Now that's actually a minds.com link, so I don't
Mm.
know if I
Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah,
know.
yeah. It was just referencing, but the actual post itself does contain a YouTube
Okay.
reference, definitely. So
No.
I only used that as a basis for the post. So
Okay.
tend to do anyway.
Okay, so this one is the internet as we know it could be changing. And let me go ahead and skip the ads on there and do another picture in a picture.
Are you sure you want to play that one because that's 13 minutes long?
Well, I mean, we can get a little bit of it in there at least until it starts getting interesting,
Uh,
like this last one did. You know what I mean?
really, really is that video really? You really need to watch the entire thing or listen to the entire thing to get the context.
Well, it's 13 minutes, dude. We can
Yeah,
watch
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
It's
That's
not
what I'm
like it's
thinking.
a
It's really appropriate.
huh.
It's a really appropriate.
I mean, it doesn't bug me any. Like, you know what I mean. If you wanna play it, we can play it and freaking talk about it. You know what I mean. It's up to you.
We can talk about it without actually playing it.
Okay. Well, I
Just
haven't had.
thinking YouTube copyright strikes.
Screw YouTube, man. Screw YouTube.
It's your channel.
Well, let me see here. On the actual audio, you're not going to get it on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? The only audio that it's going to come through on it would be the Rumble. Like now on Rumble Studios, they're not going to get the audio either. So like on the actual live stream for Rumble, where I had to do it uh, manually each time, change the key and everything.
Mm.
That's where people can go to. I'm actually streaming two streams on Rumble right now at the same time. You know what I mean? And that's the one that has the audio for the videos if anybody wants to watch it. But
As long as we comment through it, therefore keeping within the fair use.
yeah, so I mean, yeah, and like with the audio man or the video part, we can stop whenever it gets
Well,
to.
there is no video on it, really. It's just one static image. So,
Is it? Okay,
yeah.
so it's not even worth talking about, to be honest. Like there ain't
Um,
no. There ain't.
it's just there's no video.
Well,
Please.
I mean, seriously, dude, what the hell? It's like, God, that sucks. Okay, so what I will do is I will go ahead and I will play it through so that people on Rumble can
Yeah.
watch on the regular Rumble can watch it, and then as it goes through, I will I will make my discussions on it too. You know what I'm saying? And then
Still means that I won't be able to hear it from.
well, you
Yeah.
I mean, you technically don't have to hear it, to be
No, I
honest.
don't have to. I can.
You know.
I've listened to it 3 times already because my publishing the post.
Right. I've just got to figure out where it is, though. Let me go to here then and do a mini player. Actually, I can't do a mini player on YouTube. I forgot all about that. I have to actually um, do the thing. So no, I got hit default. That's what it is. It's being a butthole to me. Okay, there we go. Gotcha. So I will just go ahead and do the video. And
Can you bring up subtitles?
uh, well, I could if you want me to. We could do that.
Yeah, so I still got a good idea of what you
I've
talking
actually
about.
never done that before, so that's kind of cool. I like that. That's impressive, Mark Edworthy. That's impressive. Just saying, dude. Okay, so I'm gonna go in, and Are you getting the video yet, or on there?
No, I'm still
Okay,
looking at the new Gaffer single
okay. So
frame.
that means I have to go back on. Um, I've got to. Well, actually, let me. I know what I got to do. I got to go back into Studio and change the redacted screen share so that it's not doing that anymore. And then put the internet as we know it. And that should bring it up good for everybody. We got that on there. Can you see it yet?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so here we go. And it does have the thing on it. So
I'm not sure how many of you have caught wind of this internet crackdown that's currently taking place in the UK, but it is somewhat alarming because it reflects a broader trend. I think it's worth talking about. Now, in the UK currently, they are now implementing various age verification ID checks across the board for the sake, allegedly, in their own words, of protecting the children from prawn. Now, protecting children from prawn, of course, is a good thing. But the problem here is it goes well beyond this. And if you do some investigation, you see that this doesn't just apply to protecting children from prawn. It applies across the board to multiple platforms, things like Twitter, Discord, Reddit. And basically, they're trying to implement age verification for a variety of internet venues. And it really is just the tip of the iceberg because the UK is not really unique in this respect. There's a certain irony, I do think, to this because UK or Britain itself was sort of the birthplace of conventional notions of freedom, Anglo freedom, right? The Magna Carta and indirectly, of course, the American Constitution. You could write
That's what we've been talking about on our Thursday streams
freedom-loving principles.
last couple of weeks.
I'm sorry, not even other European countries. In fact, significantly less
see, if
so
you listen
in
to
other
what
European
he's
countries.
saying here, he's
And it
very
seems
educated
to
about
the
that
contrary of this, unfortunately,
because
that
it wasn't
UK now
Yeah, I've been a
on it.
follower. I've been a follower. Been for several years now. He does produce some extremely good thoughts.
but the like not well okay like yeah okay when it comes to like American Constitution, but you also have to take consideration in what we've talked about. Like there were other constitutional governments being formed in revolutions other than the United States, for one. And another thing, England was actually the birthplace of a lot more than just like freedom. Like you guys were probably the birthplace for freaking the Socialist Labor Party. You know what I'm saying? And there's a
As I pointed out to you last night, the modern justice system is
yeah.
the British invention. Pies, British, yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
like,
look of
and they always go that direction, and they start talking about the freedom and the American Constitution, and it's like that's not it. That's not just it. You know what I mean? There's a whole lot of stuff, like this, to be honest, I could see this actually happening in England. England would probably be the first place where this starts getting hit because these movements like this have always started in England. You know what I mean? And they spread out and they just become bigger and bigger and huge. Well, I'm starting to have my, France is really starting to scare me too. Like, we got to have a government or somebody go over there and just kind of like guide them and teach them how to properly manage. Because maybe we can.
I think they can properly manage.
No, I don't think so. I think we have to have you go over there and teach them the proper etiquette of managing.
Yeah. Stop burning sheep on main roads and well, actually that's probably a good idea. Actually, start burning sheep on main roads. That's the French means,
Stop freaking getting tired of your Constitution and rewriting it. You know what I mean? It's like 15 times, dude. Seriously, come on.
I don't know. When the French want to protest, they can protest. That's to say.
Well, that's what I'm saying in our show that we did, like last night and the week before. I mean, that was just everything goes back to France. You know what I mean? It's really amazing how that works. Everything goes back to France.
I think a arguable point because I'm just thinking the English Civil War what 100+ years before.
I'm not talking about the good stuff, dude. Like, we weren't really talking about positive things in history in the last 2 episodes of Roger's Real Time Talk Show. You know that, right?
Yeah, but you could argue that there were some positive notions that came out of the English Revolution, English Civil.
We haven't been talking about positive stuff though. Like when I'm mentioning the stuff we talked about last night, freaking, I'm talking about like the bad stuff. Like it all comes from France, dude. It's like it starts. It starts in France and it just gets bigger. The bad stuff.
But I would also argue that the English Civil War created some really bad stuff as well. The Cromwell dictatorship, 5-year dictatorship afterwards.
Cromwell was a hero to England. What are you talking about? Like, you guys messed up, man.
We've discussed this before.
I mean, dude, Cromwell was a hero to your nation. He freed you from the bondages of the monarchy.
Yeah, only to stick us under the bondages of his own dictats for 5 years.
What did he do exactly? Like, what was the horrible things that he did? Did he execute you like they did in the French Revolution because you were imperial scum?
He stopped Christmas for 5 years. He banned Christmas for 5 years.
Well, I mean, that's actually kind of overstepping.
He was a Puritan, wasn't he?
Now, I also heard that he shut down the playhouses and stuff in London.
Yeah, he was a Puritan.
Yeah, he didn't agree with that. Now, my theory on that, though, was that that's actually a strategy that a lot of governments use. Even today, they do it. Russia did it, and China did it, where they actually denied freedoms from their citizens when they did stuff like that. And then as time goes by and they've re-educated the masses, they slowly give them their freedoms back. But they have to be re-educated so that they didn't believe in the old ways any longer. And I would believe that Cromwell's plan failed because at the end of it, England came back, or the the nobles came back and said, "No, man, we want our monarchy back." And the
Not sure about return freedoms after re-education, quote unquote.
Mhm.
Once a freedom is lost, it's lost
yeah, but
in, in context.
all I'm saying is with when it comes to like shutting down playhouses and stuff like that in public spaces, that's actually is a strategy that they've used. So I would see that more as like a re-education thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a strategy within that argument. I would
Cromwell was
again he was a Puritan. He
that's what I'm saying.
wanted to destroy
I would say
certain concepts.
no. He fought a revolution to freaking.
I mean, we are seeing it at the moment with certain comedians with certain styles of comedy and satire being banned, both in US and Europe.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's probably what's taking place is England shutting you guys down, saying, "Look, we're tired of your
For
freedom."
England, isn't Labour and the progressive
Well,
liberals.
what party's dominant in the parliament at the moment?
Labour, but again, the progressive liberal sort of manoeuvres has been going on for good, what now, about 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
if not longer.
Okay, so we've made it into 1 minute of this video, and we had to stop it because that actually stuck out to me with that. Like this guy, he is coming up with good stuff, but like that's something I did want to clear up, and it's good that we were talking about that during this thing where it said no more real internet because
Hmm.
because Cromwell shut down the playhouses, and this is kind of in the same area, to be honest. You guys are going.
It's because Playhouses was done by what was considered at the time professional actors.
No, I've done research on this. The nobles and the elites, they would you would have never found them down in the playhouses.
Yeah, but again, these actors would not have been acceptable by that class of people.
Right, right. It was like this, that according to the elitists, that would have been where all of the miscreants went to. You know what I mean?
Mm.
The gays and the homosexuals and the
Yeah, I wouldn't say that because
well, you
the
got to
Catholics
admit,
didn't
I
matter.
mean,
The
Marlowe
proletariat.
kind of, he had a gayish kind of way. Shakespeare, if he existed, had to have been gay. You know what I mean? And there,
I would like to hear your argument on that one.
well, I mean, it's just like, God, dude, men dressing up like women and stuff. Come on, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, but in this country, the concept of pantomime,
Pantomime, yeah, I know.
yeah, which is mainly a thing in the US, but in Britain, that sort of pantomime, sort of subversive satire, has been a long tradition.
Well, I mean, you're the one that said it. I didn't. And you said it out loud. It's like shit.
Well, subversive satire.
Pantomime is like dudes dressing up as chicks, and now
Oh, yeah,
now everybody's bitching
it's a
about
long tradition.
transgenders. Now, but everybody's always bitching about transgenders and stuff, and like You're like condoning freaking pantomime actors who dress up like women and shit.
And a lot of our pantomime tradition comes from, criticism of politics.
Oh, okay. So it could be true then that King James was gay.
Okay, I've done the research enough.
and there were rumors that he did sneak down so that he could be a part of the playhouses. He did enjoy going and listening
We're
to.
talking about Charles I.
Yeah, Charles. Yeah. No. Yeah. The one right after the Revolution, who actually.
Charles II.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm.
He actually. Wait, no. Hold up. Yeah. Which I believe it was him. He was the one that wrote the King James, or helped, who was behind writing the King James version of the Bible.
So King James the
The first.
um
He would. I believe he would have been either the brother or the son of Queen Mary. Or nephew.
King James James the Fifth.
Oh yeah.
Six.
The sixth.
I think. King James VI of Scotland before ascended to the English throne.
Yep. Now he was believed to have been gay, and he was known to sneak off to the playhouses so that he could watch Shakespeare.
Actually, technically, King James VI of Scotland, James Stuart. So it'd be James I, King James I. I think.
So, yeah. There we go. It's official. King James was actually a homosexual, guys.
Okay. Again, we'd have to do some research in that.
I thought this was enough research. I thought that we had actually found concrete evidence to prove.
I don't think you have.
Okay, so let's continue with this video.
Okay.
So that we can we can stay on task, because I know that drives you nuts when we don't stay on task.
Yeah, I would have to spend a couple hours doing some research.
Okay, here we go.
The head of state, as it were, of locking people down in terms of not just the pestilence, but also in terms of their usage of the internet. And it does seem like a lot of governments are overly concerned about this. Now, all this, again, is framed within the conversation of regulating destructive or negative aspects of the internet, above all prawn, but not just prawn, horrible websites where people say nasty things, that sort of thing as well. Now, I'm not personally some ultra freedom loving libertarian that thinks humans should be able to do anything and everything they want to do. That's not my view, and it's predicated on my general view of the human ape, in the sense that I think we're a bunch of stupid animals and we are not aware of most of the things we want or do. We're not privy to the inner workings of our mind, and we are very, very, very likely, in a general sense, to make stupid decisions. But there's a difference, in my view, between regulating something such as crack cocaine or some really powerful addictive narcotic that might help with pain or some issue like that, an opioid, for example, and regulating the internet in a similar fashion. Because ideally, you want as little regulation as possible, if only to allow humans to be able to engage in things they want to do, despite the things I mentioned. Yes, humans are stupid animals, we're stupid animals, but too many constraints don't make this animal particularly happy. But the difference, of course, is in the capacity for destructiveness. Certain types of narcotics, certain types of other things are so destructive you could make an argument for some kind of regulation. Although I know there will be people who will argue that all drugs should be legal and everything across the board should be legal no matter what. I'm not one of those people. This is not the time or place to discuss this. I'm just mentioning the fact that I know that such people exist. But really what this is about ultimately is concern trolls and so-called Karens. And the government is an extension of this. There are various people, personages. For example, I mentioned her a few times, Louise Perry, who is a so-called maternal feminist. I'll talk more about that in a separate video. But she very much wants, for example, prawn to be regulated online and for all sorts of websites related to such things to be regulated because she's very pro-female and she doesn't want the women to be hurt. But it goes well beyond just prawn. Again, that is the pretext for protecting children, allegedly. It's about regulating speech at the end of the day. It's about preventing people from saying things that are unsavory or, in the eyes of many people, untrue. The problem is, in my view at least, even if this were desirable, in the sense of making sure that everyone says, quote unquote, the right thing and everyone is, quote unquote, nice to each other, the internet is a vast, vast, vast place. And it's almost impossible to regulate it all. People will inevitably find corners of the internet where they can say what they want and not feel restricted in doing so. Now, to this end, they have considered, not said they're going to do it, they've considered even cracking down on VPNs. Ultimately, a big part of this is the anonymous nature of the internet, which a lot of people appreciate, myself included, because it allows people, in my view, to be more honest about their actual views of things. The idea, at least in the eyes of the Karens and the governments of the world who are going to participate in this, is that by forcing people to be themselves online, they will toe the line more and no longer speak the things that they would otherwise be inclined to speak. Basically, what they want to do is to turn the internet into a walking simulation of real life where you're generally just very constrained in everything you say. You almost never, in a real life situation, go to a public place, a restaurant, a cafe, a store, a shop, whatever it might be, and hear controversial things. No, it's boring platitudes, right? It's, how is the weather? How is stuff at work? Oh, how is Susie doing? That's generally speaking the trend you'll observe in real life. And I'm pretty sure that's the intention here too. People are in a state of shock, it seems, and I think initially it was shock.
Now, for me, I personally don't agree with that because we were just having the conversation about bars. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, if you want to hear controversy, go to a freaking bar, dude. You know what I mean? You want to see a fat Eskimo puking on the bar, dude, freaking because she drank too much. Go to a freaking bar, you know. I mean, you're gonna see and hear so much stuff at a bar, and this like what he's saying there. First of all, people shouldn't be regulated. Period. When it comes to like this kind of stuff, I don't think it's you. It's
Yeah,
just
but it's not really people being regulated. It's just these companies being regulated.
well that falls down to
I
us,
know
like
that's as semantics, but
you know, and it's like when you turn around and you look at the whole thing about this, like okay, um, first of all, when it comes to YouTube, all right, YouTube is notorious for censorship. Okay, and if you notice that after Donald Trump got into office, like they've been a lot more lenient on YouTube than what they've been before,
I
previously.
believe that YouTube is one of the companies that are attempting to take the UK government to court over this. And I'm aware that there's potential legal action with Wikipedia and the UK government. Of course, this is early days, so information won't be provided. Because of the legal situation, we've got to be very careful what we say here. But we could see potential legal action by these big companies, by several big companies. What is it? I know BitChute has did a preemptive sort of strike by restricting their content to UK, even before, or just as the act was being enforced. And I think potentially, was it Signal as well? Did a preemptive sort of strike.
It's interesting. Now, I found the closest thing I found to what they're referring to with the word prawn is prawn has been a part of Australian slang since the 1890s. To call someone a prawn is to call them a fool or jerk.
Okay, I thought that was just a miss. And by the way, your subtitles is my images hiding out the subtitles, but irrelevant. I thought that was just a mistranslation by the subtitles. I thought he was talking about porn.
Pawn. No, pawn.
No, prawn. Right. I noticed that subtitles said prawn, as in shrimp.
Yeah. Now, it's also it's a fool, a jerk, an insignificant or objectionable person. So when he's saying prawn, removing prawn, he's talking about removing people who are being foolish.
No, he was talking about porn. That was just a mistranslation from.
I actually heard him say prawn, dude. Like it was actually in his word. Like that's what he was saying.
I heard as porn. PAWN.
As pawn, maybe porn. Well, I mean, he's not English, dude. His voice is clearly American. We don't make mistakes.
American, US, or Canadian. I think he's Canadian. Canadian.
We don't make like word errors like that. That's why English people do.
Sorry, I disagree.
You guys have like a horrible vocabulary.
I pick up on a lot of North American sort of poor or
you're saying poor, right?
Pigeon English.
You're saying poor, right? You're not saying prawn.
Pigeon English. I mentioned this. I pointed this out to you on several previous occasions. I think, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the thing I think is the real issue with the whole regulation thing. Like people need to. Okay, getting back to YouTube. Okay, I think that the reason why they're lightening up is because freaking these governments have been funneling a shitload of money into shutting them up. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't argue there's just governments. I would also argue there's several NGOs as well.
Mm-hmm. And they're funneling it in and they're saying, look, you get the payday as long as you shut people down. But now that that's stopped, they've decided that they're gonna discontinue that kind of behavior.
I disagree. I'm thinking of organisations such as in the UK, Hope Not 8. What's the US equivalent to Hope Not 8?
You know, this goes back to me in your video game conversations, right, with Univision?
Yeah. I wouldn't. I argue that it's not. That a lot of this is not directly related to government per se. I would argue that a lot of this is related to non-governmental organisations, charities, and.
Yeah, but they're still influencing your state. You know what I mean? They're still
indeed.
You know what I mean? Like, and those regulations, okay, it's like whenever they went in and did this thing here in the United States, I thought that was a good thing because they were actually going in and they were doing an audit on where this money was going, and they came up on all of this crazy stuff, man, where freaking the United States was sending money over to freaking third world countries
Hmm.
to freaking encourage transgenderism and shit. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Or they're giving money to charitable institutions, which they legally can do. A percentage of taxpayer for the Western world, percentage of taxpayers' money go to charitable institutions, may they be 501s in the US or in various NGOs in Europe.
a lot of them were woke ideologies that they were
Yeah.
supporting too. You know what I mean? That's the thing.
Yeah.
And wasn't, I mean, they were able to pull out like what, $2 billion worth of money, or it was more than that maybe. I know
At
it's either,
least that's reported by the press anyway.
yeah, $2 billion was the amount of money they were able to freaking find and pull out of that, uh, all of those government organizations. These were out of actual government organizations that were doing
Okay,
it.
so there are actual government organisations rather than non-governmental.
Yeah, you know, and I'm not going to say all of the $2 billion came from just those programs, because they also did audits on like the IRS and stuff too. But I bet you there was a whole bunch of money that came out of those organizations that supported these woke ideologies. You know what I mean?
Again, a lot of money is siphoned through NGOs, charitable
Oh yeah,
institutions.
most
So,
definitely.
and even in the US, there is a legal requirement that the government has to, the federal government has to provide percent or match a percentage of revenue to these NGOs.
Mm-hmm. I forgot to undo my mic on OBS, so at least they got to hear you talk. You know, now just so everybody knows, if you want to hear what we were just talking about, you can hear that on Rumble Studios. I've got two streams going at the same time, so if I accidentally or mute my mic on OBS, just switch over to the other stream that's going on, and you can hear me perfectly fine. Because I'm an idiot, and I apologize. Um, yeah, but yeah, that's one thing that I just really I don't agree with. I think they need to cut this regulation shit out. You know what I mean? And they're getting out of hand with it over.
He made he referred to this, and he's going to make a wider comment in a minute. But regulation, he goes down on the same points as I have done on previous occasions. Regulations are good as long as they are measured, and as long as they are appropriate regulations. I mean, you do not want to find your grandmother being robbed by an organisation, or have all of her money be screwed by an organisation. I mean, you don't. As an example, as we both see all the time, all these cryptocurrency scams. So yeah, there needs to be a level of regulation there to protect
Well,
citizens. But yeah, it has to be measured.
and the thing too, since you started talking all that, it need like when it comes to cryptocurrency and your grandma being catfished, that needs to be dealt with through actual law enforcement, not through
Yeah.
other organizations. This, you know what I mean? Because that's something that's really being missed out on too. This is actually a situation where they're using, like you said, non-governmental organizations to take care of the job that the Justice Department or freaking the criminal department, and no matter what country, they should be the ones taking care of it. You know what I mean? Like when your grandma gets freaking robbed over the internet, there should be a law enforcement officer knocking on somebody's door. Point blank.
Yeah.
I
When it
found
comes to,
out.
it gets more complicated when it comes to the specific point of cryptocurrencies, because the individuals that are committing these crimes may not actually be within the jurisdiction of the local law enforcement.
Well, don't they have like a police force that travels across international lines called
You've
Interpol?
got
Interpol.
Interpol, yeah, but how effective are they? And
That's my point.
and also
Let's make them.
how effective are they when it comes to relatively small
Let's make them.
criminal
Let's
activities?
let's make them freaking to where they're effective. You know what I'm saying? Interpol stands for International Police, and it's a cooperation between countries of police officers who do this stuff across borders. I'd rather a police officer be the one who has to dole out the justice rather than some bullshit freaking bureaucrat.
Also, we come into a different, into another situation where something might be illegal in, let's say, the UK, and maybe illegal in the US. I mean, this subject, as we're talking about at the present moment, is very obvious in relation to the First Amendment in the US.
Yep.
I mean, I believe that the UK government is trying to, at least it's been reported that the US government would try to, or Ofcom, the Office of Communication, would try to prosecute US citizens and or US companies that for publishing content that within the US that could be reviewed by British citizens.
That's the reason why I want to actually do a serious video series about the dark web, and everybody says dark web, but like actually get into what this whole term dark web really means, because a lot of people have been really hoodwinked by this whole term dark web and what it really
is. Marketing term.
You know what I mean? So now before we go on, let's step away and go get us some coffee, and I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette. I'll put on some more cool music, and we'll finish this video.
Finish off this video before
It's like 7 minutes before the second hour. We could do it. We could let it play actually, and then how long is it? How long do we have left? We got 6 minutes.
We really discussed the major points of the video anyway, so it's really relevant to play the rest of it.
Did we discuss the major?
Yeah, the majority of the.
Now we could end this. We could just play it off in the second the second hour with a cool freaking thing about the internet could be changing as we know it, and then we can go to break. I'll put on a song and we'll step away, okay? And no talking this time. I promise.
Again, if you remember YouTube.
but we've gotten used to it, many of us, that people are so candid and honest online. And I actually think that's a good thing.
Good. Don't talk.
Because how else will you shine a light on the actual truth of things? How else will you shine a light on what people actually feel and think? The reality is, and I've said this many times, prior to the internet, you couldn't learn about, for example, intersex relations. Not really. You only had a very vague compass to go off of. And this compass about men and women was largely predicated on platitudes. Now, you could make the argument that a lot of the manosphere is incorrect in the details and the data that they might spout. And that's probably true, especially these days. But the basic building blocks, the idea, for example, that there are important fundamental differences between men and women, that the relationship between men and women is often very tense and even hostile, that things are not as simple as fairy tales tend to paint and suggest, something that, like I said, used to be the standard breakfast you were fed when it came to relations between the sexes, just as an example. With the internet, that changed. That's why people like Lord Gilbert and other youngins know all this stuff right off the bat, whereas people like me, when I was his age, we didn't know jack squat about that because we couldn't know that stuff. It was simply inaccessible. The problem is simply that sometimes this knowledge comes at a price, at a cost, and this cost is that things become less pleasant. The underlying assumptions people have and how they interact with each other, these too become less pleasant. So you're faced with a choice fundamentally, I think, and that choice is pretty simple. It's basically go back to everyone playing super nice and pretending everything is X way and just not knowing certain things, which is the way a lot of people want it, including these governments, as well as the many Karens out there. Or you just kind of deal with things as best you can, given the state of affairs. I, for one, almost always prefer knowledge over nescience. Nescience is generally, in my view, a worse thing, for me at least. I prefer to know something, a horrific truth, and I have to say, in the course of the last decade or so, discovered many horrific truths. Indeed, horrific truths about my very genetics and my health. But I would prefer knowing these things, ultimately, to just not knowing any of this and blithely parading through life as if everything is perfectly fine and hunky-dory. But obviously, this is just my opinion, my view, my personal inclination, and my personal feelings. A lot of people don't feel this way, which is the reason why a lot of people support these efforts to constrain and to, quote-unquote, regulate the internet. I don't think, as I said at the beginning, regulation is in itself a bad thing necessarily. It just depends on what it is and the degree of it. So basically, if they manage to get this stuff through, and then, of course, other governments follow suit, including, of course, as well, the American government and potentially even Canadian government, then you might have the situation where anything that's relevant on social media will require a photo ID, real information, real name, profession, who knows what else, in order to sort of verify your existence. And the problem here is, again, to the extent that this succeeds, you are fundamentally trapped in a situation where everyone is going to go back to just pretending things are a certain way when it's just evidently not the case. And I also think that beyond the things I've mentioned, this is very much a situation of the toothpaste being out of the tube at the end of the day. The internet has been around for a while, and in terms of internet time, it's been around for centuries. The acceleration you've noticed between, say, the past 30 years and the past 50 years, it's enormous. The internet has only been around for roughly 30 years, give or take. And the internet in the last 5 years versus the first 5 years is crazy. You just have to acknowledge that. So maybe they'll succeed at various things and to varying degrees, and maybe some people will get their wish. But I just don't see this necessarily turning into a good thing. Because again, personally, I value knowing things. I value free exchange, even if it's unpleasant, rather than just sort of faking niceties. And on top of that, there's just sort of basic things that people are interested in sometimes. And one final concern I have here, unfortunately, is government overreach. And that's just a fact when it comes to this stuff. You know, as I said, the idea of regulation itself is not theoretically a bad thing. It's just who's doing the regulation what are the intentions, and are the intentions good, and to what degree can they even implement good intentions? I just don't trust, in the current state of affairs, large-scale governments to do these things well and to have good intentions, especially when we observe the other things they're doing, which are absolutely harmful to the population. Among some of these things being the complete abandonment of some of the populations they are sworn to protect and help, to opioids and drugs, the support of illegal mass and criminal immigration across the board in various places, whether it's Europe or North America. And it just doesn't seem like they have good intentions at the end of the day. And intentions actually matter. So although, like I said, this will nominally please the Karens and the few people who really think we should go back to a tea and crumpets, everyone's nice to each other era, which, by the way, will never work because the cat is out of the bag, I just don't see this turning out well. But what can I do at the end of the day? I'm a nobody. So there's that. Just my 2 cents, gentlemen. Hope you're doing all okay. Anyway, as always, thank you for tuning in. Many special thanks to my very generous patrons on Patreon and donors on PayPal. You guys.
Okay, so that was cool. But we are going to wait until after we have our cool break and come back and we'll have a conversation about that. What do you think?
Yeah.
Because I know that the subtitle behind you was really, really annoying you. You need to step away. 'Cause,
No.
did you realize too that there was no way of actually fixing that?
Actually, you could have moved my image out of the way, or I believe that YouTube allows you to reposition the subtitles anyway.
No,
I
you know.
think.
And
Maybe I'm using a third-party extension on my browser, so that might be it.
now, well, actually, you could have closed out your video sharing too, I guess, but that's about it. And there's no big deal about it because freaking I was doing screen share and what I was using was actually the Chrome tab, so the audio may have gone through on that, so which is cool. So now we watched the end of that last episode or that last stream that we did before we stepped away. You got any final thoughts on what they were talking about right there?
Like I said before, a certain amount of regulation is necessary, but as long as it's measured and appropriate, which obviously the UK Online Safety Act is anything but appropriate. I mean, couple points that you probably not have heard about is that there is a point in section 180 of the Act that actually talks about what's the word in about limiting access to any commentary in relation to the migration issues at the moment.
That too. It came out on there, and it seems to be a real big hot topic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also, as we both know, the UK Labour government is trying to push for the idea of voting, 16-year-old voting. But to access this sort of information, in theory, you would have to be 18. So the argument is that if you can't access this information, then how can you make a fair. How can you base? What can you base your views on? What can you base your you're not getting a fair sort of overall viewpoint.
Yeah. Well, the thing that really is sticking out to me on all of that is the verification shit. You know what I mean? Like, especially on YouTube now, they're really trying to push this whole ID, using ID on the internet with a flat phone, photo recognition, not recognition app that you can get put on your phone, to where you just take the ID and you put it up next to it, and it photo verifies it. You know, and I find that disturbing. That's also the reason why I don't go on freaking Telegram, because they're doing it. This supposed anonymous, you know, hidden away from freaking people snooping on you program or platform. It's telling me that I need to verify with a freaking phone number every single time I go into it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And
Couple points on that. In these companies have offices in Europe, in the EU. They are regulated by the EU EEA, General Data Protection Regulation. Therefore, if that data is being misused, then they're subject to legal proceedings. But there was an argument a couple of years ago in relation to mines, where it was suggested that some sort of identification, photo ID, or government paperwork, or government identity would be provided to mines. But because mines.com is not a not Mindsync, is hasn't got offices in the EA, they're not subject to, well, in theory they're not. In theory they are subject to EEA, GDPR, because of Article 3, which states that any company is subjected, irrelevant if they've got offices within the EEA. But I don't think this part of the law has been tested, and it's in my view, it's going to be impossible to actually push on, because again, if you've got a company in the US and you haven't got offices in a European jurisdiction, what is a European enforcement agency going to do?
yeah, I mean,
It's going to extradite you. That's going to have to require a US judge to sign off on.
right. And well, I mean, the only thing I can see that they could possibly be able to do is, if they have the technology to do it, is to prevent that internet platform from being viewed in their country. But I don't even know if they possibly even have that kind of technology, to be honest.
Yeah, you can restrict based upon the DNS, the domain names system.
Just well, I guess that would make sense too, because like with certain cryptocurrencies, you're not allowed to even go on their websites.
Yeah, look at the Chinese so-called Great Firewall project.
Yeah. Well, that there was that one I was talking about. What was it? It's not BitShoot. It's not Bitcoin. It's Bit something Bit.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know you're talking about, but you can still access their website. You can still access their front end.
they just won't allow you to purchase any of their cryptocurrency. You can
Yeah. Yeah. But that's related to banking infrastructure, isn't it? That's
well,
somewhat different. But
with crypto.
look at North Korea. North Korea has restricted their internet access dramatically, and can't access from North Korea. There is European or North American sites.
I want to say thanks to Dragus Production on D Live for giving us a ice cream.
But my original, I think I went down a bit of a tangent then. My original point was if those well, there's 2 points there. If the companies are forcing users to agree to their terms of services, which may not be compliant with European jurisdiction legislation. I mean, the entire arbitration clause, technically dependent on specific situation, could not be legal within, let's say, the UK. I can't think of, I've thought about this in relation to mines. They've got their own arbitration process, but in certain circumstances they may demand arbitration, but as a British citizen, they can't force that on me, and I could take them to court for specific reasons.
Well, you want to hear my take on it, and I know you'll go against this, maybe. I don't know, but I say go ahead and freaking block mines from being able to be seen in Europe. You know what I mean? If Mines doesn't want to cooperate with the regulations that are set down by the EU, block them. Same thing goes with the United States. If the EU wants to impose regulations on people here in the United States that is constitutionally illegal according to our freaking laws, then we need to block your guys' garbage from freaking being allowed into our country. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll see how freaking great the EU actually is. Let's see them talk whenever they stop losing, or when they start losing revenue from the internet because freaking they don't want to comply with the U.S. Constitution.
And but they wouldn't be losing revenue. They would only be losing revenue if those companies have their offices situated in their jurisdiction.
No, I mean, literally the broadcast. No, your platform in the EU is no longer allowed.
If you haven't got an office in, let's say, the EU, as your example is, then what sort of taxation, what sort of revenue is the governmental body receiving?
No, I mean, listen, I'm talking about, well, even if they do have offices here, what happens is this, okay? If they want to impose laws that go against the United States Constitution on the internet, then we say, look, we don't want your service here. We make it to where they can't freaking even have their platforms being seen here in the United States. And then we tell their offices, it's time for you to get the hell out of our country and freaking go. So we just send them on their way.
So you're saying now the government is now in making unfair demands upon individual companies?
No, they're making, these platforms are making unfair demands upon people. When it comes,
if you're a company, let's say if you are
their rights,
YouTube LLC, and you've got offices in the UK, then you're under UK jurisdiction and therefore UK legislation.
Right. Now, if the UK has laws that YouTube is going against, then YouTube shouldn't be freaking seen in the UK until they comply to those laws.
Or the laws are overturned, or there's some legal precedent.
Exactly. But in the beginning, freaking, if they don't comply to them, then they don't get to see freaking or have anything to do with YouTube within the UK. And the same goes for the EU. Okay. And it's vice versa. If there's things that freaking is going on in England, or that laws that are being pushed on people here in the United States from England and the EU that go against our laws, then we shouldn't be seeing platforms that are pushing those laws here in the United States. You see what I mean? And if they want to continue to push those laws here in the United States, and they freaking have offices here in the United States, we say, look, you take your office and you hit the road.
Wouldn't that be government overreach?
If they're actually standing up for constitutional government, our rights according to the Constitution of the United States, then they're doing the right thing. Okay, that's what the government is.
Open market, isn't free and open market a sort of fundamental point of the US?
It's free and open market whenever freaking we aren't being forced to follow laws that are outside of our government.
Well, you could say that about Huey, Hawaii, Huey. But again, we've gone off on a tangent.
That's my original. That's my take.
My original we were originally talking about identification. Let's say I provide my identification to Minds Inc. What is and that was the argument I made some time ago. How do I know that the Minds Inc. is protecting my data, is storing my data in a correct method, in a secure method? What about things like data retention?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I don't trust that either. And you know, the one thing you keep failing to mention too, okay, it's not just Minds, okay?
I'm only using Minds,
well, I mean,
or Minds Inc.
Or even these platforms or businesses either, okay? Do you really want freaking the government to have freaking open access to your information? Who you are, your information. Do you want the government itself to have that information? Are you okay with that?
The thing is, the government
as long as it's being used for the specific purpose that I provided it to them for.
Right. Now hold on, Mr. Robot's here. There's
a nuanced argument there.
We can hear like a little flutter of like you're sitting in a freaking vacuum tunnel.
Okay, can you hear me better now? Just turning my mic up.
It's better now, but you got like a static background.
Okay, I'll move my speaker.
That's usually the problem.
So the thing is, the government already has all your information, but the problem is they want to tie that information to everything you search online, everything you say online, everything you think. And the problem with that is, how do we know the government's not going to come after you when you say something inconvenient, not necessarily illegal? So, like you can see in the UK right now, they're attacking people for all sorts of stuff that they post online, including, criticizing rape gangs, criticizing foreign policy, criticizing immigration, all this kind of stuff. which really just stifles free speech, freedom of expression, freedom of like political discussion, all because the government is afraid of their people, of dissidents or whatever, and they'll find any excuse to just basically lock us down, and make us do whatever they want. And this is getting worse by the day, mind you, as like tracking, tracing, controlling gets better. China's rolling out robot AI, cops that are armed now, drones, all sorts of shit. So I just think we're in a really dangerous spot right now where people can't allow their freedoms to be taken away like this. So
okay. In that case, within I use the UK as a good example because that's the situation I'm in. There are legislation is regulated, so legislation has to bills have to be approved by those Commons and House of Lords. So the upper and lower houses, and there are courts set precedents. So and legislation could be overturned. So we have certain safety nets as such.
Yeah, but the problem is those safety nets aren't always working because politicians are greedy bastards, and we're up against the most powerful lobbies in the world, including, people like George Soros and the Open Society NGOs and stuff like that they create, including military lobbies, including, foreign national lobbies like the Israel lobby.
Legislation is created by government, not created by foreign lobbies. The foreign lobby
money talks louder than people do.
Could actually influence legislation, but lobbies do not create legislation.
No. Well, I don't know actually.
I've heard of it.
ChatGPT these days.
You guys keep saying Soros, but let's call it what it really is. Let's call it a lobbying group called AIPAC. The most
well, that's what I was getting at. That's
most powerful
one of the many.
That's the most powerful lobbyist groups in the world. You guys know that, don't you?
Yeah. It's called something else here, but we have like at least 2 or 3 of them here, different ones from Israel.
Well, AIPAC is more of like the United States actually profits more off of AIPAC than what Israel does, and people don't understand that.
Well, they're spending the money, but in the end, how much money is the U.S. given to Israel as aid money every year?
I would actually say it's a mutual trade because like there's things that we trade through Israel that we're not legally allowed to trade because we're supposed to have embargoes against Iran for one thing. We're supposed to have certain embargoes against China. There was certain embargoes that we had against frickin' Russia as well. But see, it's okay for Israel to trade with China and Russia on these certain items that we're not allowed to trade with them. You see what I mean? So what we do is we trade it to Israel, and then Israel takes that and they trade it to those countries, and then it's vice versa. So we're using Israel as a trading point to where we can get what we want without actually breaking our laws.
Yeah,
I'm reading here that the United States provides Israel $3.8 billion per year for over 10 years, so it'll be $38 billion in total.
Well,
as just aid.
In trade or
it's really like military
foreign aid?
Is that in trade or foreign aid?
Foreign aid. Well, which is really like missiles and shit,
Yeah.
Because like we desperately need military missiles.
Now you got to understand too that
that's solely a commercial thing. I mean, I think if I remember correctly, Israel is the biggest grower and biggest distributor of artichokes.
Artichokes.
I guarantee you some of that
okay.
money goes right back to the US to bribe the politicians to keep
Yeah.
doing it.
And let me also put things into perspective for you too. We were just talking about what Elon Musk did with this government audit, and he pulled $2 billion out of the freaking government alone because of useless programs. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh,
you're talking about $3 billion to Israel, where they're using $2 billion here in the United States on just useless programs that aren't really helping people. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
so like $3 billion is nothing to the United States.
Yeah. That's just when we're talking about that sort of money, it's not.
Yeah, but
It's changed down the back of silver.
it kind of is actually, because you guys are going into debt faster than I can count at this
Well,
point.
you know, things are changing, dude. We've got this new thing. It's called the freaking External Revenue Service, and we're gonna get all that money back from you guys through
In
tariffs.
theory, you may.
Well, so they say.
Yeah, you
Have
may.
you
'Cause
checked
we're-
it lately?
We're
debt-
sick of you
debt law?
bastards coming over here and taking advantage of us like you have been. We're bringing it back to the United States. The greatest.
Crap. If anything, I've
greatest-
benefited the United States. They make sure you got money in your account and you're going to spend it in the US.
The
when you come
greatest nation in the world.
there. Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Rome clapped in the 5th century.
Rome.
History tends to repeat itself.
Let me put it to you this way: Rome ain't got nothing on us.
Okay.
King Kong.
Remember, Britain up to, let's say, the 1950s, owned a quarter of the world, or so now 1/3 of the world.
Well, I mean, I'm just, I'm not really saying that. I'm not saying that like Rome is a good example. You know what I mean? Like, freaking Rome really wasn't all that great. Everybody loves Rome, but they were actually scumbags. The best thing that ever happened to England was the fact that freaking their country was too far for freaking Rome to actually take all of it, so they had to build a wall, because that was like the outskirts of freaking the outer boundaries of the Roman Empire, and they were afraid of it.
Roger, check out that website I sent on the chat. At the moment, the US is doing a little bit better than last time I checked. It's only going up by $100,000 a second in debt.
They slowed down, huh?
Yeah.
Now, you put that inside of the chat in Elements?
In Rumble.
Oh, in Rumble. Okay, cool. Let me. I've got to switch over to the actual chat. All right.
Ignore the first message. That was just some spam.
Okay, so
the deficit is only growing by 10,000 a second, just under 10,000 a second. Somewhere it tells you the what do you call it? The interest you have to pay on the debt.
All I see is the ultimate upgrade, the Ponzi scheme, and the divided dollar. Only
I don't know what that means.
Sounds pretty nefarious.
Download it. It's a PDF.
U.S. debt clock. There we go. 3,000 live stats. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
E-money revolution, Den of Thieves, Tally system, Bank of England. Okay, so it's like It tells you the worst money systems in the world.
Uh-huh. It's actually pretty cool. I like that, dude.
It's kind of trippy.
All I got to
Goes
do,
on to
all I got to do though, is make sure that I don't click on that kind of stuff, so because I don't want no downloads from no crazy, no crazy freaking organizations that's gonna steal my identity through.
I just want this thing to go away so I can see what's underneath the bloody thing.
Well, just right there in the background. It's right there in the background now. I got it all set up, looking cool. So you're good to go, man. You're good to go.
Can you see it? Okay. Well,
So-
it's in the background. That's the problem. Somewhere there, I think it's actually under the bloody banner. Total interest. Now, see, we can't see exactly what that number says. Is it a trillion or is it a billion?
Accurate with the data.
That is.
But my point is, like, when that total interest paid
It's
ticket
37
goes
trillion.
up,
37 trillion.
Yeah,
yeah, if it goes up higher,
Yeah.
no, that's the debt. But like, there's a certain amount of interest you have to pay on that debt because it's actually, borrowed money, theoretically. And when that interest level goes up too high or higher than the country is producing in a year, you can get into a situation where you can have like runaway interest, runaway inflation.
Interest versus GDP. Yeah, and I can't remember the.
Yeah, you'll get into a situation where everyone's going to dump the bonds on the US dollar, which will take that foreign debt owed by, what is it? US debt held by foreign countries. It'll make that go down really quickly. And that'll be a situation where the dollar becomes bloody worthless. And that will be a bad thing for everyone. Party's over.
Because all other countries are based upon the US.
We will go from a type 0 civilization to a -1 civilization.
Well, see, the thing about this though is it's like this all looks cool and everything, but it's also biased, and you can tell that because if you look at it, it says that the largest budget items is Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. Now these are the two things that the conservatives are not even conservatives, but the Republicans are attacking right now, and I'm being real lenient by calling them Republicans. Okay, now anybody in the United States knows that the largest freaking thing that's draining freaking people when it comes to the budget is education. Okay, education is. Yeah, it is. More Americans are in debt because of education.
What about civil service pensions?
Medicare in 2024
pensions
was
is a good.
$912
That's a good
billion.
call. That actually is a
So
good
it's
call.
almost the size of the military budget, which is $1 trillion.
You got to understand one thing about. Well, okay, when you say pensions, we're talking Social Security right there. Okay.
Yeah, civil. That's why I mentioned specifically civil service pension.
The deal about that is see, that is not government. Okay, that's not government money. That's money that people have paid into the federal government specifically for Social Security. Okay, like you get taxed on the state level and the federal level, but then they have freaking the taxes that go specifically for freaking Social Security.
Again, you're misusing the term government money.
Well, not here in
Again, there is no
here,
such thing as
United
government
States.
money.
here in the United States is the proper term.
It's still taxpayers' money. It's still being provided by taxpayers.
Well, who do you think gives the money to your state? Do you think the state just pulls money out of its asshole and it's
Well, quantitative easing is
Yeah, I'm sorry. If
not
if your money is
mentioned
not
it.
in your hand, it's not your money.
yeah.
But it is not government money.
I mean,
Well,
seriously,
it's in the control of the government. So
who
Government facilitating the spending of.
how is your state facilitating money, Mr. Edworthy? How is your state?
Taken, B, loans which would later on be paid back through taxation. C, quantitative easing measures, so just printing money out of thin air.
So
I've got a
you're,
question for you, Mark. Whose will does the government enact by giving out the money? Your will or their own will?
In theory, the government. Well, if you make the argument that the government is made by the people for the people, that argument, then it is the public. It's a citizen.
Well, I'm not making that claim. You are. I'm saying the government's running autonomously, and it gives us bread and circuses to make us believe that we are in control, when in fact
Are they not?
the government is run by all sorts of different agendas that don't
your
include
members of parliament not elected by the people? Are they not representative?
Look at the US, for example, right now, right?
Hold up.
Tulsi Gabbard's just come out and said that the US election was totally manipulated. They basically put Biden in place. Hillary and them did it.
I'll let that
Obama
slide. I'll let that
authorized it.
slide because Tulsi Gabbard's hot. But other than that, let me ask you
Again,
to.
allegations.
Well, she's the head of, like, supposedly the greatest intelligence apparatus the world's ever seen. So,
right.
I mean, her
That's
word
right.
isn't worth nothing.
Now, hold on a minute. Let me ask you to a question because this is important, and I've never asked you this, and I should have because you're both foreigners and stuff. So, being illegal aliens, or no, just immigrants, just
You are.
immigrants
Not
from
immigrant
another despicable low-rate country that's not the United States. I mean,
Another low-wage country that is not the United States. So
no, hold on. Let's
Let's
not get confused by the topic. Okay. Now, this is in all seriousness. This is a question that's important, and I want to ask both of you this: do they take money out of your paychecks and give it to the government?
No, they don't give it to the government. They
Or to the state?
to the states. Yeah.
Okay.
I
What
think
about
that here they take it out of your paycheck for your own superannuation, but you have to voluntarily pay the money as taxes to the state. They don't actually automatically take it at this point, as far as I'm aware.
National what's the Australian version of the UK's national insurance?
What are you insuring?
Good question. I have no clue. That's the first thing popped in my head when you said that. I was like, "Are you serious? They are telling you that they're insuring you for something, dude?"
National insurance is the tax that is paid by an employee to the state for the provisions of.
Oh, we have a goods and services tax on stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, is that when you buy items, or is that coming out of your...
it's slightly more expensive when you buy items, I think.
So that's coming
Maybe
out of
certain items.
that's coming out of items that you're buying. It's not coming out of your check. You see,
Yes,
that's
right.
the proper way of taxing. If you're living in a constitutional government, it should be coming out of the items that you're buying and the stuff that you're selling. You know what I mean? It's not supposed to be coming out of your paychecks.
But here's the tax they don't tell you about, Roger, is we basically elect governments based on what they run on, right? But then when they get into office, they end up printing more money than they said they would, and they end up spending like drunken sailors, which means they're really taxing future citizens to pay back that money, and by inflating the currency. So they make the purchasing power of the currency less against the goods, so you end up having to pay more in the future for everything. And that's the hidden tax.
Specific food stuff and essential goods.
And this could be actually something that cryptocurrencies in the future will improve society with, is smart contracts, where we can have like politicians set guidelines or rules set in stone that they will do, and if they don't abide by like they basically have to abide by those smart contracts, before they're even elected. That would be ideal.
There is an argument to say that mandates if at election time, if the government doesn't do what they mandated to do within the manifesto, then there's a idea of bringing the government to task, but manifestos are not really promises, but are not promises. If that makes sense.
It kind of makes sense.
More suggestions.
It's kind of like the IRS is a freaking voluntary tax. A voluntary tax system. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to pay the taxes. You don't have to. It's just voluntary. If you don't have to do that, but that goes back to the old days, back when the tax man used to go knocking door to door wanting your tax money. That wasn't a voluntary system. That was pay your taxes or you go to jail right here and now. You know what I mean? Or we steal your chickens and your tractor and everything, and because the king wants his share, But now,
that's what in your principle, what would the Inland Revenue Service, U.S. Inland Revenue Services do if you didn't pay your tax?
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's voluntary not to pay it, but the consequences of not paying it isn't your choice. You see what I mean? That's when the king comes collecting. That's when they start stealing your cars and your chickens and your land.
But you can make an argument about any activity. It's voluntary that you are going to murder somebody, but if you murder somebody, there's a consequence to that action.
I mean, we could debate on that too. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's.
I heard a little bit about this from someone who knows a lot about it, where in the U.S. it's only when you're in the District of Columbia, in the wherever the White House is. I can't remember what they call it. Washington D.C. area.
Yeah.
That's the only place where you have to pay taxes, because they're a different legal status. Everywhere else, it's sort of like voluntary, but people forgot that it's voluntary, so everyone just pays it, and it's sort of become like a culture now of like people paying it. And now, based on that, they've sort of started enforcing it through the IRS that people pay it, even though they're not really meant to, or something like that, right?
Well, the thing is, there's real consequences. Okay, like you can go to prison. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing, and it's supposed to be voluntary, and You can voluntarily choose not to pay your taxes, but understand that
If you know the law well enough, you can defend yourself because it is actually illegal what they're doing.
Matter of fact, your buddy Alex Jones knows a lawyer that's really an expert at that kind of litigation down in Texas.
Yeah. Bill Cooper used to do it as well. He lived in Arizona, and he used to run like workshops on it back in the day.
Now, this guy is the one who actually represented frickin' MC Hammer, and there was another guy he represented too. I believe MC Hammer went to prison though eventually, didn't he?
Did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they stole his golden toilet and everything, dude. Went into his mansion, cleared it out, everything because of taxes. But I think he got Willie Nelson off.
No.
Look.
Huh?
MC Hammer didn't go to prison.
Was
He
his name
faced severe
Daphne?
financial difficulties in the 1990s, including filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 1996 due to overspending and business mismanagement. But these issues did not result in criminal charges or imprisonment. Since then, he has rebuilt his career through music, blah, blah, blah.
Talking about MC Hammer or Willie Nelson?
MC Hammer, Stanley Kirk Burrell. Really?
Yes. So he was the attorney that was responsible for getting him off of the
No,
charges?
that's MC Hammer's actual name.
Okay,
MC
so
Hammer, obviously their name is.
So they went in and they took everything. I thought he actually served some time in jail or prison, but the guy that I'm talking about, who Alex Jones did an interview with a while back, actually talked to him, and he was the one that represented him. It was pretty interesting, but what you said there is true. Like if you have the proper representation, man, you can get off on it, but it's going to take you money. Don't try to go into no courthouse defending yourself when it comes to these things, because you will lose miserably. They will bury you, dude.
Unless you are.
Well, yeah, I don't trust the U.S. justice system as far as I can throw it.
Mm-hmm.
Just every day there's a new scandal.
Sorry, I was going to say thank you for referencing my Minds post. Just one minor point. Your YouTube reference, there's no space between the title and the URL.
Oh, that's fine. It's got a designator where you can click on it, and it'll take you straight. Oh, Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot, do something about your...
Move those speakers or something. That's horrible.
Is it still echoing?
It's really bad. It's not. It's.
I haven't even changed my settings.
It's not. There you go. It's not an echo. It's more like a. It's picking up on freaking white noise.
Yeah.
Feedback.
Yeah, there you go. Well.
Is this better?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
That's much better.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
I think it just takes a while for Rumble's noise cancelling to kick in or something.
I don't understand that. It should be doing it, and it just never does it.
I think it's because it's a Bluetooth speaker, maybe.
You know, it could be.
Is your mic? Hasn't your microphone got some sort of hardware noise cancellation on it? Or if you're using post audio, Pipewire framework, that's got noise cancellation.
Well, even on this stream right here, like I have options in there that has echo cancellation and noise cancellation, and it still doesn't. It's not working.
I mean, this mic I'm using has got hardware noise cancellation.
Oh, you got a fancy little suit microphone there now, mate.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've been using this one for ages.
Yeah.
I reckon Mark should be a politician, eh?
He'd be
or some kind of salesman. Like,
he'd be a good politician. I think he would be. I think he would be good. Now, before you start making any more comments, Mark and Mr. Robot, I want to go ahead and officially say this in words on the stream about the Online Safety Act repeal, okay? Now, Mark Edworthy posted this up, and I want to uh, make a verbal comment about it. Now, it's I guess it's for people who are involved with the UK and the colonies like Australia and everything, right?
Well,
Yeah. I mean, it's coming to a country near you if they get their way.
I don't know if people in the United States can do it, but it's a petition that's being put out to repeal the Online Safety Act. The UK government and Parliament petitions is what it is.
I believe it's ended. I did receive an email just yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, it was Thursday, actually, which states, and I quote, no, the government has responded to the petition you signed, and the government's response is the government is working with Ofcom, the Office of Communication, to ensure that online in-scope services are subject to robust but proportional regulation through the effective implementation of the Online Safety Act 2023. I would like to thank all those who signed the petition. It is right that the regulatory regime for in-scope online services take a proportional approach, balancing the protection of users from online harms with the ability for low-risk services to operate and provide benefits to users. The government has no plans to repeal the Online Safety Act and is working closely with Ofcom to implement the Act as quickly and effectively as possible to enable UK users to benefit from its protections. Proportionality is a core principle of the Act and is inbuilt into its duties as regulatory for the online safety regime. Ofcom must consider the size and risk level of different types of and kinds of services when recommending steps providers can take to comply with requirements. That sentence is really poor. Duties in the Communication Act 2003, that's a typo, 2023 I should say, require Ofcom to act proportionately and target actions only where it is needed. Some duties apply to all users to all user-to-user and search services in scope of the Act. These include risk assessments, including determining if children are likely to access the service, and if so, assessing the risk of harm for children. While many services carry low risk of harm, the risk assessment duties are key to ensuring the risky services of all sizes do not slip through the net of regulation. For example, the government is very concerned about small platforms that host harmful content, such as forums dedicated to encouraging suicide or self-harm. Exempting small services from the Act would mean that services like these forums would not be subject to the Act enforcement powers. Even forums that might seem harmless carry potential risks, such as where adults came into contact with child users. Once providers have carried out their duties to conduct risk assessments, they must protect the users of their service from identified risk of harms. Ofcom's illegal content code of practice set out recommended measures to help providers comply with these obligations, measures that are tailored in relation to both size and risk. If a provider's risk assessment accurately determines that the risk faced by users are low across all harms, Ofcom codes specify that they only Ofcom code specifies that they only need some specified measures, including easy to find, understandable terms and conditions, a complaint tool that allows users to report illegal material when they see it, backed up by a process to deal with those complaints, the ability to review content and take it down if it is illegal or breaches the terms of service. A specified individual responsible for compliance who Ofcom can contact if needed. Where a children's it's quite a long one.
You're going to choke to death if you continue.
I think I've got 4 paragraphs to go here.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. That was funny. It just started going downhill, dude.
Where a children's access assessment indicates a platform is likely to be accessed by children, a subsequent risk assessment must be conducted to identify measures for mitigating risks, like the code of practice on illegal content. Ofcom recently issued child safety codes, also tailor recommendations based on risk level. Whoever wrote this needs a lesson in English. For example, high effective age assurance is recommended for services like accessed by children that do not that do not already prohibit and remove harmful content such as pornographic and suicide promotion. Providers of services likely to be accessed by UK children were required to complete their assessment, which Ofcom may request by 24th of July. On 8th of July, Ofcom's CEO wrote to the Secretary of State for Science, Innovation and Technology, noting Ofcom's responsibility for regulating a wide range of highly diverse services, including those run by businesses, but also charities, community and voluntary groups, individuals, and many services that have not been regulated before. The letter notes that the Act's aim is not to penalise small, low-risk services trying to comply in good faith. Ofcom and the government recognises that many small services are dynamic small businesses supporting innovation and other significant value to the communities. Ofcom will take a sensible approach to enforcement with small services that present low risk to UK users, only taking action where it is proportionate and appropriate, and will focus on cases where the risk and harm, where the risk and impact of harms is highest. Ofcom has developed an extensive program of work designed to support a smoother journey to compliance, particularly for small firms. This has been underpinned by interviews, workshops, and research with a diverse range of online services to ensure the tools meet the needs of different types of services. Ofcom's letter notes its guidance, full service guidance and tools. And Ofcom letter notes its guide for services guidance and tools hub. So how a unit called the guide for services and services guidance and tools, and its participants in events by other organisations and networks, including those for people running small services, as well as its commitment to review and improve materials and tools to help support services to create a safer life online. The government will continue to work with Ofcom towards the full implementation of the Online Services 2023, including monitoring proportionate implementation, and it was signed off by the Department for Science, Innovation and Technologies.
Oh yeah, well,
so it's a load of marketing BS, really.
When I hear that, what I hear is a direct attack on video gamers. To be honest with you,
game space.
A lot of the networks that they're talking about involves gamers and streamers that are gamers. I seen a video. I think one of you guys posted it where it was a video gamer who was talking about this stuff. And
that's your interpretation.
I really see that.
Not actually talk about any specific sector.
Yeah, networks that cater to children. What networks would that possibly be, or platforms?
As you know, I've done 2 reviews for in relation to Mine's terms of service agreement. One back in 2019, and I think one in 21. And I was reviewing this just yesterday. In both reviews, I pointed out that they make a both the previous terms of service and the current terms of service makes a provision for users of age of from the age of 13.
Yeah.
You will see a lot of platforms, especially US-based platforms, that will state accessibility to users from the age of 13.
Well, most people, or most platforms today, openly acknowledge that's a good idea. Like even YouTube has a limit of the age 13. If you're below 13 and you're on YouTube, then you need to be on YouTube Kids.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm talking about like this regulation straight out. Okay, it's not talking about platforms like YouTube or Facebook. I think
well, it's making a generalized statement, but in reality, we based upon the 13 point, talking about all social media platforms, X, Minds, YouTube.
And then they start talking about self-harm, dude. That's more of a gamer platform kind of situation, where, because you get a lot of kids that are on there talking a whole bunch of crap. You know what I'm saying? They really do talk that stuff, and like I'm really amazed with gamers because they're more open about talking about mental illness than what most people are. You know what I mean? Like regular.
Arguably, that the point of self-harm and suicide and mental illness covers all
You,
sort
you don't you
all
don't you
stuff.
don't hear that as much on regular platforms and like streams like this is what you do with gamers.
Not
I'm telling
not
you, it's
not these days. But it wasn't that long ago that there were criticisms of certain platforms. I think Reddit was a good
yeah, Reddit's actually a good example. Actually, you're
platform.
right.
Yeah.
Well, Reddit's. I mean, I don't really have a good output when it comes to Reddit. You know what I mean? It's like, do you really want to even call it a real platform?
It is a good platform. It's a foreign
I
based
know, I know.
social media platform.
But on a serious note, yeah. I mean, Reddit's pretty horrible. And,
Actually, I do look at Reddit occasionally. People like James Hoffman, the coffee expert. He he does some interesting material on Reddit.
I don't know. It hits me. It hits me as being more aimed at freaking video gaming, and then like I was telling you before, this stuff honestly, and I know you don't want to admit it because we've had this conversation before, but like this goes back to our video gaming conversations. Like, why is it that EU and England are so freaking obsessed with the cloud? Why is it that they wanted Activision to have all their games put up on this cloud system that they have set up? You know what I mean? It's so that they could turn around and impose these regulations and then freaking enforce them through this freaking cloud, this game, cloud gaming.
Well, that's a multi-factor sort of issue. We're talking about the. Tell me, can, when was the last time you bought a boxed game?
That's my whole point. That's my whole point. What happens whenever developers start creating these cringe games, like games I like to watch or play, where freaking you're killing zombies left and right and everything. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I mean, when's the EU and freaking England going to say, "Oh, that's inappropriate for children"? There you go. Can't be here.
What was it? I remember back in it must have been 15, 20 years ago now, in relation to Hillary Clinton. That awful one.
Yeah, that was way back. You're talking about you're talking about like 2000 and
Yeah,
let's say
20 years
14
ago. Must be. Yeah, well, mate, no, it was a lot earlier than that. It was well, she was still fairly young.
was it when she was a senator?
Possibly.
That might have been like 2005, back during.
Maybe 2000, maybe.
Mhm.
Even before the turn of the century.
Mr. Robot never came back from his coffee, dude.
Okay.
I think he's stuck in there. There he is.
I'm just listening.
Okay, what's your take on this shit, dude?
On the Child Safety Act thing.
Yeah, and what I said. Do you think? I mean, does it sound like it's or aimed directly at video gamers?
Well, my take on it is, first of all, speaking to the government right now, if you really cared about children, you just injected like your entire population with a dangerous vaccine that caused hundreds and hundreds of thousands of injuries, caused myocarditis, permanent heart injury in like thousands of children. And you want to come tell us you care about child safety? Sit the fuck down. Bullshit.
Well,
I don't believe it for 1 second. This is a
Again,
Trojan horse to create more censorship, tracking, tracing, controlling of the population in general. These laws are going to be abused. Yeah, like I think children and gamers is the pretext, the same way like, you know, terrorism is a pretext to invade a country to take their oil. It's the same kind of thing, but it's for global surveillance. That's why they're rolling out across the entire West. It's not something that's come up with by our politicians. It is a globalist agenda to push it out through the society, because this isn't just the only law, right, that's doing this kind of thing. This has been a consistent effort through the last few decades to chip away at our freedoms, to increase the control and the power of the system, of the police, in order to basically quell rebellion, censor thought, censor free speech, just like we've been talking about. And I just want to quickly read out here, because this is happening in Australia as well, right? And like just a few examples of like these laws that have been rolling out. I've been sort of half keeping track of it. Is like in 2018 they had the Telecommunications and Other Legislation Amendment, which is also known as the Assistance and Access Bill, or ASS access, because the government forces companies by huge fines to give them backdoors into their apps, including encrypted messaging apps, including social media, anything. Like they can force Apple, they can force Android to give them backdoor access under the threat of like millions and millions of dollars of fines.
You said the bill. You said the bill. So it's not been enforced yet. It's not been. It's not.
Well, it is now, because like they're actually. They just approached the Signal app people, and they said, if you don't give us a backdoor into your Signal encryption, we're going to fine you. So Signal said they're basically going to cut off services to Australia completely, because they don't want to give the keys out.
Exactly. And I agree with that. I think that they're in the right for saying that, because that's what I was talking about earlier before you came on here. I think freaking these countries need the governments, if it goes against your constitution, they need to freaking say, look, we don't want your service in our country and you need to hit the road. And I think that's the same way with these companies. They need to freaking say that shit too.
But here's the problem, Roger. It's not part of our constitution. It's a law that the government passed at Christmas while everyone was away, snuck it in there. No one asked for it. No one wanted it. There was no public discussion. And they just sneak these laws in, and then once it's a law, it's very difficult to undo, especially here.
I'm very skeptical about your guys' government anyhow, because when you told me that you're forced to frickin' vote, dude, that just blew me out of the water. I cannot believe that you can be fined for not voting.
I created
we started as a penal colony, now we're a slave colony, you know?
I created a post. I created a Minds post on December the 2nd in relation to Australia, which I entitled Australian Parliament Approves Social Media Ban for Under 16s. The tagline I used was on November 29th, the Australian Parliament approved the Online Safety Amendment Social Media Minimum Age Bill 2024. Well, the bill has yet to receive royal ascension and therefore has yet to become an act. I don't know if it has, yes or no.
I think it actually did last year. It got ascension.
Again, this is based on December. Yeah, this was based on December the 2nd. I wrote this. As of time of publication of this post, the legislation raises questions as far as enforcement of said legislation, internet-related literacy, and human rights of individuals, and where the human rights of individuals are concerned.
You don't have free speech in this country by law either. So, like, you know, as if these people care about 16-year-olds. That's the job of their parents to freaking look after them, not the government. Who wants the government to look after your kids? Who trusts the government these days? It's bull crap. Bull crap, and everyone knows it.
You know what is so warped about this topic, though? You know what is so warped about it? is the same people who freaking get on the internet who are supposed conservatives and Republicans, and they preach against pedophilia and pedophiles, are the same people who are against this same freaking bill, which is supposed to protect kids. I mean, that is so crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
it's two opposing.
The people that are making the bill are some of the pedophiles that we're talking about.
Exactly.
I'm going to say something that's going to totally not be allowed on YouTube, but we've already been there. We already are there because of what Mr. Robert has said. But this Online Safety Act has been approved by the same government that has said that they would not have a full national inquiry in relation to the grooming UK grooming gang scandal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, protecting children.
Yeah, exactly. Let that. What's the real agenda then? Right?
So then it goes both directions. Then the ones who freaking are protecting pedophiles are the ones who are for this bill, and the ones who are against pedophilia are freaking the ones who are against this bill. See what I mean? It's like it's still out of whack, dude.
The thing is, I don't think it's the correct place to basically enforce these things. It's a tricky situation because, you know, the more freedom you have, the more freedom they have, right? The pedophiles and like bad actors. But at the same time, I think it should be up to, you know, kind of like they have on, what do you call it, on Element, how like admins can basically censor or like delete things as they need to. That should be one level of it. I don't necessarily agree with like platforms censoring, because I just think it's a slippery slope of, you know, where do you draw the line and who's going to police it, and like when is it going to be
what's the word I'm looking for? Administering their terms of service agreement. Remember, you, the user, sign up to those platforms. You agree to those terms of service.
No one reads that shit. Come on.
Irrelevant. It's a contract. You've agreed to a contract. If you don't
know, it's kind of vague, isn't it?
Not the platform. That is your responsibility.
Well,
sir.
I
didn't agree to nothing. I just clicked yes, let's go.
Yes,
okay, hold on.
By signing up to that platform, you are agreeing to, by using that platform, you are agreeing to their terms of service.
No, I did not, Mark, because I didn't read the bloody thing. You did, because you read it.
That's not relevant. Ignorance is no excuse under the eyes of law.
Hold on. Now,
I don't care about the eyes of law.
It always comes back to this. This always comes back to this. This is always something that pops up, and it's just always that. But the thing of it is if you agree to it or you don't agree to it, okay, the thing is when it comes to this, stop talking about the same shit. You know what I'm saying? Like whenever you're on freaking a platform and you just don't freaking agree with what they are freaking pushing on you, then you need to just stop doing it. If you freaking are okay with putting up with the shit, then freaking follow the rules that are set down upon you. You know what I'm saying? You don't even have to.
You know what I see is like, it's like the frog in hot water boiling in a pot situation where people sign up with things like Facebook and they agree to certain terms, and over the years they just keep freaking changing the terms on you, and like supposedly they let you know, but not really, and like next thing you know they got cameras up your butt So
Actually, in the EU and various EEA legislation, you have to be, it's a legal requirement to be notified of substantial changes to those contractual agreements.
And another thing I want to point out too.
I've never seen Facebook, maybe like once or twice, let me know they've changed their
You should have
services. But I
received
bet
at
they've
least
changed it hundreds of
either
times.
an on-platform notification or an email.
Now, I want to also add one thing to it. What you guys are talking about is just freaking the internet. It's nice, and it's about the platforms and the regulations. Now, what you guys were previously talking about are laws where freaking police officers could actually come out to your house and arrest you for shit.
And it gets worse, right? They passed another law here where they can actually take over your social media accounts and impersonate you, and then basically convince your friends to give them information about what you're doing by impersonating you. That's one of the laws they passed already.
On that one as well. Last year or year before.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, there's a big difference there. You know what I'm saying? There is a big difference there. What you guys were originally talking about and what it's turned into right there is two separate things if you look at it that way. Like, okay, whatever, dude. You're going to take away my freaking YouTube channel. Cool. You know what I mean? I don't care. But don't be sending a fucking cop to my house because freaking you don't agree with something that I put on the internet. You know what I mean?
And here's the next thing that they passed this year is the Communications Legislation Amendment Combating Misinformation and Disinformation Bill. It came into law last year and it got enforced this year. And that means they can basically censor anything they want. And it's not even the Parliament that does it, it's the Australian Communications and Media Authority, which is an unelected group of bureaucrats that basically can determine what you can and can't say online.
Question for you.
This is now law. Like, they can determine what's misinformation and what's disinformation.
Okay, question for you.
Disinformation, you could be labeled a domestic terrorist.
Load of Peter's video earlier today, actually. What is the difference between disinformation and misinformation? Surely they're synonyms for the same thing.
Well, supposedly misinformation is unintentional and disinformation is intentional. But how the hell can you know whether someone says something intentionally or accidentally, right? Can you read their thoughts? Can you read their emotions? No, you can't. But it's these unelected bureaucrats that get to decide what you
see. They don't really dig in as deep as what you guys think about. They do. They're using
these politicians are naive at best.
It's technology. They're using keywords. Okay, whenever they hear keywords in your conversation and you say keywords over and over again, then they know that you're intentionally freaking saying that word for a reason and that you've been educated to what that word means. You see what I mean?
And who pushes those words in the first
place? That's an assumption,
right.
But
I mean, it's that's the way it works when it comes to search engines and SEO and everything else. You know how that works, Mr. Robot. You know all about that shit.
You do websites.
Yeah, but I just don't know how the law is enforced and how they determine what's misinformation and disinformation. I haven't actually read the law yet.
Also, I noticed the Safety Act never actually defines what harm is. The term harmful or harm.
Well, see, I think kids cutting themselves when I hear that shit, like cutters. You know what I'm saying? Encouraging other people to cut themselves and doing harm to themselves. The emos of the
like that. Yeah, there's a few like I know what you're talking about.
But do you remember the arguments that was going around? I think a couple of years ago in relation to what words of violence.
That's bullcrap.
Where violence, we would understand
By
violence.
definition, a word can't be violent. That's
Yeah.
not what
Yeah.
violence is.
Precisely.
See,
I had an ex-girlfriend that tried to pull that shit on me. I wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
with this new stuff about protecting children, though, I understand it completely because I've done research into the juvenile courts here in the United States, and I've mentioned this to you guys a couple of times. Where here in the United States, they use this protection for minors to hide what's going on in these juvenile courts. Okay, it's amazing how freaking much they can get away with the shit they do with juvenile court systems. And the reason for that is because, you know, they're trying to protect the information of these children. You know what I mean? It's just like with HIPAA laws in the in the hospitals.
100%, man, and it's happening here too. And that rabbit hole goes real deep and scary.
Right.
Because like I had a friend of mine whose child was taken for no reason. I don't know. The government just decided like, nah, you can't be a parent. Like they didn't do anything wrong, and they took the kid. And it cost them like hundreds of thousands of dollars in lawyers' fees to bloody fight them and get them back. But, you know, in that period of time, the government had these babies, and God knows what they injected to them. God knows what they fed them. God knows what conditions they were in. There was no oversight by the parents, you know? So, like, it's scary, man. Like, when the government can just do that.
Yep, just walk right in there and do whatever they want and get away with it. You know what I mean? And and this is basically what I'm seeing here with this. I mean, it just they're hiding behind this idea that it's to protect freaking children, when in reality they're using it so they can do some nefarious shit.
It's kind of how the government just goes, sorry, that's classified, national security, we can't tell you, but they do it to everything.
Yeah.
Just to protect their own asses, like Obama.
I heard that on X, Rupert Lowe, an independent member of parliament, had his account restricted for no apparent reason. Within last couple of weeks, in relation to the Online Safety Act. This is a member of parliament. Obviously, it's very hard to say that he has done anything that would be detrimental to children. And so at the time, and I don't know if it's still, I don't believe it is an issue, I think, now, but at the time, it would have been, you would have to be over 18 to access the content of a member of parliament. So if we have, let's say, if the government does push on the 16-year-old voting age requirement in this country, as it's been talked about at the moment, how can the 16-year-old be able to access a content of a potential member of parliament or an actual existing member of parliament, if they got no, if that account has been restricted because you have to be 18 years or older to access that. It's
What they want to do here is they want to actually lower the voting age to 16 while they're making it illegal for 16-year-olds to get on. That's crazy, right?
To access the content of their either existing representative or potential representatives.
Okay, so before we go on, it is on the 4-hour mark now. I think that we should take another break and then come back and get onto this Biden laptop emails
Okay,
thing.
I'm not familiar with this story.
Mr. Robot knows all about it. This is one of his crazy kooky stuff. So,
Well, I haven't actually trawled through them a whole lot. So I don't know. We're just going to have to talk in vague terms. I haven't actually super investigated Biden
okay.
because it's not high on my.
So before you jump into it though, let's take another quick break. Mute out, put a little bit of music on, and then we'll come back and we'll get into that because this is one that I want to talk about, and then we want to go on to Trump.